Okay, unsurprisingly, quite a bit happened in the previous two episodes. Yeah, this is gonna be the first two-episode review. Yeah, I don't even know where to start because so much happened. So, I guess we started with the Asia Circuit arc, and, well, that was fast. Yeah, I imagine we're going to be coming back to the Asia Circuit later on, but basically this Asia Circuit happened completely off screen, and Aichi and the others didn't even take part. They just used the Asia Circuit to set up Leon and the others, which is fine. And then they had a scene immediately calling me out, specifically, where they had Miwa and the others fighting over who the best ultra rare girl is, and Miwa has really shit taste. No one likes Suiko. Suiko's okay, but she's the worst out of the three. So the episode 6 was mainly focused on Aichi and Emi really wanted to check out the rival card shop, Voyage. It's a shame we didn't get it's a shame that the rival card shop wasn't Ultra Rare's one, but oh well, we'll get to that, hopefully. We better get to that, please. I swear to God, give me my Ultra Rare card fights, please. I'll take Karin versus Aichi, but I really want Misaki versus Rekka. Okay, but yeah, so we went to Voyage and we introduced Goki and Leon Soryu and Kenji, Kote, whatever. And Kamui had a card fight against Goki, and well, in a flashback we had a Kamui versus Goki, but the actual main focus of the episode was Kamui versus Leon Soryu. And we got quite a bit about Kamui's character in this episode. Like, we focused on the fact that, oh, this is actually a brand new deck he has, and he felt peer pressured to go on, like, a training mission. That's why he went to Card Capital to fight against Aichi, and so on. And it was cool to get more focused on Kamui, because that's the thing, like, the previous few episodes did a really good job of, like, just introducing the main players in Team Q4, but now we're kind of going back and giving them a little bit more, like, to help flesh him out, because, again, in Kamui's introduction episode, it was just, oh, he's a little kid and he's looking to become really powerful really fast, and that's a believable motivation for a little kid, but now we got, like, a little bit more depth and explanation as to why he wants that, because he sees Goki as a rival, and he wants to prove himself against him, and he can't really show his face at Voyage until he is powerful enough to beat Goki because of Nagisa, and Nagisa, like, pressuring him, which was cool. And it's even better that, like, Kamui went out of his way to get a disguise and everything so that Goki wouldn't notice him. But then when Goki does notice him, he's like, oh, yeah, it's you. Like, Goki doesn't really care as much as Kamui does, and I really like that. That was a cool little dynamic. I also really like what they did with Goki and Kamui, because, like, Goki's never been, like, my favorite Vanguard character, because he's just kind of been there, you know? Like, I don't really care for him one way or the other. He's okay, but, like, they don't really do much with his character. But I feel like they've already done quite a bit with his character this time, because in the original Vanguard, him and Kamui were very much, like, on an equal playing field, I feel. Whereas now it's like, no, Goki has had, like, a buff. He is way more powerful than Kamui. Whilst Kamui has also had a nerf, and Kamui is way weaker. And so that's a more interesting dynamic, where Goki and Kamui are more like, well, Kamui sees him as a rival, but Goki doesn't really see Kamui as anything at all. And so that was cool. They kind of fixed Nagisa. I mean, I hesitate to say fixed, but Nagisa, I don't like Nagisa, and she is the third member of the dreaded love triangle. And in the original Vanguard, she was really clingy. She would constantly cling on to Kamui and propose to him and go, oh, we're gonna get married someday and everything. This time they toned her down by turning her into a tsundere, and I don't like the tsundere archetype, really. But at least it's more bearable than what they did to her in the original series. So that's something at least. Like, she has a little bit more of a personality to her, and I can see why people would like her more now. Still not a big fan of her. I'm gonna go ahead and say she's probably one of my least favorite Vanguard characters. And she is the worst part about the love triangle in the original Vanguard. But at least they're trying to change her somewhat. I don't know why they had to bring her back. You know, like, but oh well. I mean, I guess if they didn't bring her back, then the team name NWO wouldn't really make sense. But yeah, I guess it's okay. I guess whatever. But she does serve as the catalyst for the shop tournament that's happening. So yes, Leon Soryu comes into the shop to have a rematch against Goki after the Asia circuit. But Leon, like, senses using his wind powers, which I always found weird because Leon always goes on about wind and everything, but his deck is very clearly, like, water-based. Like, his deck is filled with, like, sailors and marines and mermaids and stuff, but then he's going on about, like, wind, and it's weird, I don't know. Like, if he's going on about wind, then surely he should, like, use Neo Nectar or something, right? Whatever, doesn't matter. I'm sure it makes more sense if you're Japanese, or I'm just an idiot. Yeah, so there's that. And so whilst he's there, he uses his wind powers to sense that there's a more powerful card fighter, or a card fighter with more potential or whatever, than Goki that he wants to go against. And he immediately turns to Aichi, but then Kamui's like, no, it's me. And so Kamui and Leon have a card fight. Leon wins. The pacing of the card fight was okay. I didn't mind that this one was too fast because, again, Leon was just that much better than Kamui that he ended it fast. That's the thing. I'm not the biggest fan of the, like, quick card fights overall, but at the very least this series is doing a fairly decent job of justifying why they're so short and so contained within one episode. You know? Like, again, I would prefer more two-parters and stuff, but at the very least, they're doing a good job of, like, explaining why the card fights are so short. You know, like, there's no real need to drag this one against Kamui and Leon on and everything. So, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. And the card fight overall was pretty decent. There's not much to really say. Leon uses the Excel imaginary gift, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that's that. Then we have the setup for the tournament, where Nagus is like, oh, my card shop will go against your card shop and everything. And it'll be NWO versus Card Capital and so on and so forth. And then they're like, cool, we'll show up next week. And then this is when the next episode starts. And Kenji shows up. And they're like, yeah, you're a week early, mate. The actual, like, tournament hasn't started yet. Yeah. And so they decide to have an exhibition match between Kenji and Miwa, because Miwa feels like challenging him. And this was a really good card fight between Kenji and Miwa, but not much really happened in this episode. Which is why I'm kind of glad I combined these two episodes together, because quite a bit happened in episode 6, but as far as episode 7 goes, the only thing we really got was the formation of Team Q4, which admittedly is something really, really big, but it got, like, crammed into the last couple minutes of the episode, whereas 90% of the episode, you know, the remaining 20 or so minutes, was focused on the Miwa versus Kenji fight. And that's fine, but nothing too important really happened during the Miwa versus Kenji fight, you know? Like, we got to see Miwa fight, and that's cool. I really like Miwa, and I really like how powerful he is. Because that's the thing, Miwa's always been pretty damn powerful at and good at the card game, because he goes against Kai so often and everything. And so, because of course Kai is a really good opponent, and he's a really good card fighter, so fighting against him so frequently would obviously make you a fairly decent card fighter as well. And so I've always really liked that, and I like that they showed that off here, because Miwa had a really good strategy. He tried to put everything into a one all-out attack, which does get blocked, but if you are someone who's really weak, and someone who doesn't think they're gonna stand much of a chance against their opponent, then just trying to put everything into one attack and ending it there and then isn't a bad strategy. And even after then, Miwa still manages to do really well. So whilst he loses, it's a really, like, honorable loss. Like, he does really well, and I really like that. Like, I like that this episode kind of showed that, like, you can still lose and still do really well, I guess. Like, it's difficult to explain, but, like, everyone else in the card shop was like, wow, I'm surprised Miwa did so well, you know? So that was cool. I quite like that Misaki was like, yeah, Miwa's gonna lose immediately, like, yeah, because she knew what his strategy was and everything because of her memorization skill, and she was like, oh, I know exactly what Miwa's gonna do, and it's gonna get blocked immediately. And it did, and she, like, seemed really smug. It's like, come on, dude, you just said that it would be bad for the card shop if this place got closed down and everything, and we got sore losing and stuff. So I don't know why you're so smug, but whatever. But yeah, then... See, that's the thing. This is why I'm combining episodes, because again, there's not much else to really say. It's just there was this episode was just a really good card fight between Miwa and Kenji, or Kote, which is his nickname, but I'm just gonna keep calling him Kenji. Of course, I appreciate Kenji's Dimension Police deck. That was cool, because of course, if anyone knows me, they know that I like Power Rangers and Kamen Rider and that kind of stuff, and anyone that knows Kenji knows that the Dimension Police deck is very much based off of that kind of stuff, with his main card literally being a Power Rangers Megazord. So I appreciate that. Also, Miwa's deck was really, like, weird and random, and I quite like that too. Like, it's definitely the most disorganized deck we've seen so far in V, which is cool. And it's cool to see that he did so well using said deck. So that was neat as well. But yeah, then we got the ending scene where we formed Q4. Before we get into that though, when are we going to see Emmy card fight? Because that's the thing. This, like, the way this was set up, right? And I know that they're very much setting up, like, NWO versus Q4. But I really wanted to see Emmy go against Nagisa, just because seeing Emmy kick Nagisa's ass would be the most satisfying thing ever. But unfortunately, we're not getting that, and it just leads me to wonder, when is Emmy going to start card fighting? Because in the original, they spend a lot of time early on, like, focusing on her getting into the card game and everything. But then, here we're not really doing that. Like, we're showing her learn, you know, like, she's watching the card fights, and she is commentating along, and understanding everything that's happening. But, like, when is she actually going to build a deck and everything? I imagine that'll probably be after this tournament is done and everything. And I get that they want to focus on Q4 first. They want to introduce the main 4 characters and have them team up and all that other stuff before they kind of focus on other stuff. Which is weird because, again, we had a Miwa card fight this early on. A Miwa card fight that didn't really seem to serve much of a purpose in the grand scheme of things, really. Again, I don't really see the point of the card fight. Not to say I didn't enjoy it. It's just for an anime that's been going on, like, so quickly, so fast-paced, to have a full episode focused on Miwa, where we don't really learn too much about his character, in terms of, like, his backstory and everything. It's a bit weird. Again, I liked it. It was a cool, like, break of pace, because I was very much expecting this episode to be the beginning of the tournament. So it was cool to have an episode in between when we didn't get that. So that was neat. But yeah, it just felt a bit weird. But yeah, so then we got to the formation of Q4. The way they justify the formation of Q4 was really well done in this episode as well. Because the way it's done in the original is a bit weird. Because I'm pretty sure in the original they have, like, an in-shop, you know, card fight tournament. And basically the 4 people that do the best in the tournament are the ones that get put together. And so those 4 people just happen to be Aichi, Kamui, Kai, and Misaki. Whereas in this one, I quite liked how they explained it, because it's like, well, Kamui got us into this fucking mess in the first place with the tournament and everything, with, like, the battle between the 2 card shops. So he's gonna have to, like, face up to his fucking responsibility. And Aichi was there when it happened and didn't stop, and so he has to be there too. And of course, if we want any chance of winning this, Kai's gonna have to be there too. And Misaki's memory skill was pretty good, so she'd probably do decent against him too. Boom. That's why the 4 of them are together. And I quite like that. I liked that all 4 of them were there for different reasons. Like, Kai was there because he's good. Misaki has a memory thing, but I also feel like she's partly there because she literally works at the card shop that's fighting, so that makes sense. And then Aichi and Kamui being there for such a weird reason. I quite like that. I've always really liked that Q4 is such a band of misfits. I really like that. Like, they look, like, visually, they look like they shouldn't be together. You know, like when you see a Yu-Gi-Oh team or whatever, like, you know, you see the main characters in a Yu-Gi-Oh anime, they definitely look the same, or they look similar in terms of their design, that they should belong with each other. But like, Q4 don't. Like, Aichi does not look like he should be the protagonist, and that's the cool thing about him. He's my favorite character because of that. He doesn't look like he should be the protagonist. He looks like he should be a character from like the first story arc that ends up becoming irrelevant the second the actual plot kicks in, you know, whereas Kai is the one that looks like he should be the protagonist, which I really like. I really like that it twists things like that. And then Kamui looks like he should be the buddy fight protagonist, not a character in Vanguard, you know? And Misaki is the girl character, yes, but she's the competent girl character. She is the girl character that can actually get shit done, which again, direct jab at Yu-Gi-Oh? Probably. So I really like the four of them don't look like they should belong with each other at all, which is what makes them such an interesting team. And I'm looking forward to getting some more focus on that, especially within the next episode. So yeah, no, pretty good 2 episodes actually. I don't really have very much wrong with it, with them. Again, it's just a bit weird that this most recent episode was just kind of a card fight with Miwa. It didn't really add anything in the grand scheme of things. But again, I quite like that as a pace breaker, you know? Again, Emmy getting into the card game would have been a little bit of a better pace breaker. You know, maybe have an Emmy versus Kamui fight where she fights for the first time. That would have been cool. And of course, it goes without saying, I would have absolutely preferred it if if the tournament against the 2 card shops was Ultra Rare versus Card Capital. But I understand why they didn't do that. I get it. NWO, you know. NWO, fine. I don't care about Ultra Rare, whatever. Again, it's not like the episode 6 took a direct jab at people like me that seem to care so much about idols. Again, Miwa has really shit taste. Suiko's alright, but both Korin and Rekka are way better. But yeah, no, so that was... I know that the next episode is going to be Goki versus Misaki and Kamui versus Nagisa, and I swear to God, if Kamui doesn't kick Nagisa's ass, I'm not going to be happy, because... Come on, I want to see Nagisa get beaten. She's so annoying. As for who I think, I guess predictions on the table, who I think will win, I think NWO are probably going to win. Just because of how early on it is and everything. It would be interesting if Q4 won, but I don't think they will. I think Kai will win his card fight, and I think Kamui will probably win his card fight against Nagisa, just because Nagisa is so bad. Unless they've changed her in this reboot, of course, which they might have. But I think Aichi and Misaki are probably going to lose, which I quite like if they do that, because Aichi being the protagonist, being one of the people that loses, would be really interesting. But of course, if what I predicted happens, then it would be a tie. So, I don't know, it could go either way. I feel like it's an equal chance that it could be a lose, a tie, or a win for either team. So, we'll have to see. But yeah, either way, I'm looking forward to the next few episodes, and I guess we'll talk about Vanguard some more a little bit later.